Well, we realize that it's not warm everywhere, but we also realize that spring is close, it's near, and when springtime comes around, there's a lot of exciting things that happen. One is it's a complete change in season, so I know I need to kind of go ahead and get my X-Mark ready to rock so I can cut a little grass and keep the farm kind of maintained. But also turkey season is coming in. It's my favorite time of year. And obviously trying to figure out where those first early season thunder chickens are located. So y'all come with us, man. We're gonna talk about a few things that happened right at the end of winter and the beginning of spring. We're gonna ride down here and I'm gonna give you a few tips of how I go about finding the turkeys early season. Some of it is as simplest as you can be, but obviously it changes throughout the year as far as that early kind of end of winter, early spring that feels more winter than it does spring, and those turkeys can change and they can be in different areas depending on the season and depending on how big a piece of land you got to hunt or you lease, public or private, can dictate where the turkeys are. So I'm gonna kind of go back here on my farm and show you where I typically find the first turkeys. There ain't a lot to eat right now in the woods. There's a lot of method and ideas and mentality that goes into finding a turkey depending on early March or the beginning of May. Because obviously they change. You know, these turkeys and hens, especially, these hens realize it's breeding season. But they're not immediately looking for a place to nest. They're looking for food. You know, you still got hard frost. You still got really cold weather. Sometimes these turkeys up north are digging out of snow. So they're looking for any type of food. So it's almost like late season deer hunting. Wherever you can find the food, could be leftover acorns. It could be the first buds that's coming out. It could be the first little bugs or grubs or worms that these turkeys have found. So typically in the South, by rule, in the South, I find most of your early season turkeys in the woods, in the hardwoods, where there's a canopy of leaves, there's leftover acorns. It doesn't take a lot for a turkey to survive. They're steady scratching, they're steady looking. So I will get down in these edges where maybe a clear cut meets a hardwood edge, and I'll start looking for tracks. I'll start looking for scratching in the woods, because there's no rhyme or reason where they got to be anywhere. But if it's into February, early March, if me and you were sitting out here in the woods and it's 30 degrees, well, where would we be? We obviously going to be looking around for food. We might not be in the prettiest place. We're going to be in the place that has the most food. So anytime I got a burn, I know I got food. But these turkeys might not know about this burn right now. When they find it and they show the tracks in the mud and the sand and the roads and the clay, I know they're in here. I can hold them a little while. But a lot of times I'm looking for the telltale sign. Tracks, I'm looking for turkey scat, droppings, I'm looking for scratching. In a lot of cases, I'm going out and listening. But a lot of times, let's face it, you can't go out and listen all the time. You might be 2 hours away from your turkey hole. You might have one weekend you can run over there. Maybe your kid ain't got a ball game, you can run over there and check it out. And you can see if they're there. Look at there, that's still smoldering right there. But how pretty is this? Here's a good little spot that I would think would be good to start looking for turkeys. One is because I was just over here the other day, and this is an old deer food plot, but it's been mowed down. But already we've had a couple nice pretty days. Behind me is a plowed edge where I plowed this fire ditch, and I got hardwoods down in there. The other day I found some fresh turkey scratching. A lot of these water oaks, some of these white oaks, red oaks, there's just a few of them left. A turkey ain't looking for pristine. They will almost eat anything. So a little leftover acorn can go a long way on a cold day. So a lot of times I will look where these turkeys are scratching through this stuff. Now, if you go out in this food plot, and I'll show you, look at all this. This clover, some of these first grasses, these fresh spring grasses are starting to come up. This right here, a turkey can come out here and just like a deer in this fresh clover, and they can just peck and they will graze just like a deer. There's a lot of food out here. And I'll even go as far as you notice right here, I plowed a few strips in it. Anytime you turn up new dirt, there's food there. There's a new seed. There's something there. It could be a little bug, could be an old grub, could be a hardshell bug. So this presents a new opportunity for turkeys to start showing up. This particular area, I have had not one turkey sign yet other than down in the woods, but I'm creating something and I know that they're going to be in here. So this would be a good area that I could get up on a high spot and maybe I could start listening. In certain situations, your property might set up to where your neighbor's got the best early season habitat, where yours might lend to have a little bit better late season habitat. This area right here, I'm not on a burn rotation. This will be burned next year. So this didn't get burned this year. So guess what this is going to tell me? This area right through here with this food plot, in here in these thicker areas, this is going to be a great place late May, or early in May and late in April. When these hens start nesting, they're going to be looking for habitat just like this. This sage, I'll let this food plot grow up. So this is going to be a premier spot when these hens start nesting because it's going to be a little thicker. Where that burn, this more bearing, that's going to be a good early season spot. This is going to be a better late season spot. But right now, I've already seen some scratching down in there. So I'll try to get down in here where maybe we can find some fresh scratching and show you. Because when turkeys find the food that they want, they'll let you know. They'll be scratching and it's very obvious. Not to mistake turkey scratching with armadillo kind of pillaging around. Two different things. Maybe we can show you. But right here is going to be awesome, man. Turkey's going to be in here. You know, another thing, a lot of people say, oh man, you know, somebody's watching this, oh, well, I ain't got no private land. Waddell's on his private farm. Hey, it don't change, public or private, other than I have control that I can come plow a little strip. I have control that I can burn. I have control that I can come in and do certain things. But typically a well-managed public ground, which are managed better than a lot of private leases that I've hunted, they do all these things, especially in the South. They burn, they plow, they plant food plots, they plant chufa. So you got all these things that are at your benefit, so you still gonna read the land and read the land the same. It's the same bottom line base opportunity to find turkey sign, whether it's private or public. So everything I'm telling you, even though I'm on my private farm, is going to exactly apply to public. The only time it gets really difficult, I would say, when you get in those big hills of, let's say, Tennessee, or those big hills of West Virginia or Virginia, some of those areas where the habitat is not as diverse and it's big rolling hills, I would say the best way to find early season turkeys is to get out on those ridge tops and listen. Those pretty spring early mornings, listen for turkeys. Not call at them, but locate them. When turkeys are feeling right, they start gobbling and let you know. When we're on these smaller southern spots, you might have 100-acre spots you can hunt. A turkey can be on you one day, he could be 2 miles there away from you the next day. So your 100 acres, you've got to be able to read the sign and know if he's gonna be there, either listening and or find and know that he's gonna be there. You can do this with trail cameras, you can do this for a lot of things, because at least you know where to start and where to begin. You're not doodling in the wind. It could be that you have some public ground that might be better to start your season than your own private ground or lease. So knowing what your property gives you means a lot, and I can't emphasize enough. Turkeys are going to be in some of the same areas whether it's private or public. So the same things I'm telling you apply just as much to public as they do to private. Another thing that changes the game is scouting. Check this out. That's today. Look at that little green field. You don't have to go find them when the camera finds them. There's 3 big old lobberhead long-beard turkeys right there with a bunch of hens. So I know that's up there in the front of my farm, what I call a kill field. Good name for it, because that's a good spot to kill a turkey early season, obviously. And these turkeys are out there in just some same habitat that I just showed you here. But that's all been burned, and that's pretty wide open up there. But them turkeys are there, so that's a good thing. Some people don't like them. I love them, especially going into season, especially these areas that maybe I don't get a chance to visit as much, because these Bushnell Cellular Core Live is what I'm using here. Amazing camera, sends it right to your phone. You kind of get an idea of what's going on. So obviously, as I'm looking back here, that's right now up in a food plot we call the kill field. So that camera told me all I need to know. And as long as that maintains that way, I know where to begin. But I'm gonna go back here and check a spot that typically early season always has turkeys. here's another good tip. Man, take them old deer cameras and put them in areas that can pick up a lot of action. And I found some turkey scratching over here the other day. It's just an old logging road that we don't use no more. So I put that old Bushnell cellular camera right there and check this scratching out. And since then, already, this camera's been telling me a lot. I've been getting a couple pictures of a flock of hens. There's some jakes in here. There was 3 big old strutters. But look at here, this is turkey scratching all in here. And you can see, we've had a couple hard rains. Some of this ain't real fresh. But if you look down in here, to an untrained eye, especially now in the south, these old armadillos, I start ripping up a hardwood road and leaves, and you'll think you just got a big old flock of turkeys. You'll think you got 2,000. But there is a difference. You can tell when it's turkey, because when turkeys scratch, here's a prime example. And look right in here. See, there's thing about it when a turkey scratches like that. It might not look like a lot to us, but it could be an old piece of acorn. It could be a bug that maybe it's been warmed and hatched out. So they're constantly looking. So just like I scratched in, notice I left a bare spot and I got a pile of leaves. So you can see these little leaves, the way they piled up. That tells me this is 100% turkey scratching. Now an armadillo, I look like almost old python that went through the woods. You'll see little leaves, but you'll look and look like a python trail. Armadillos just kind of foraging around for food and grubs too the same way. So in this case, this is all turkey scratching. I ain't saying armadillo ain't come through here, but if you're in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, this is what you're looking for. And it makes it tougher. If you get up in those hills in West Virginia, man, you got acres and acres of big old forest. I still think the best way to find early season turkeys is to go listen for them, because it makes it tough to just go find sign. Because a turkey ain't got to do a bunch of scratching visible. But in this case, and I know it is because I put the camera, when I found this scratching, I put a camera up this old logging road. So these turkeys are coming back up and forth to an old food plot, and they're scratching through these hardwoods. I got several pictures. So right now, I'm pretty dialed in. It ain't even March yet while we're shooting this, and our season will come into April 1, but I already have found where the turkeys are at right now. Now here's a good thing. I know where they're at. The bad thing is, it could change a little bit by April 1. They can move around depending on the weather, situation, new food that presents itself. It could change a lot. And it can change a lot from then to, in our case, a season that goes all the way through, you know, early May. It could still change a lot. But you can see that I'm sniffling. We've had some warm weather in here. The pollen's starting to drop. So right now these turkeys are on fire. They're gobbling. And luckily for me, there's some over here that I found that I can't wait to get after with my kids and my wife. So hope this helps a little bit. Like, it could be a little redundant. It could be elementary, but there's nothing more aggravating than to have a piece of property and you think you're gonna go out there and hear and see a bunch of turkeys. One thing I will tell you, if you're not seeing sign and you're not hearing turkeys and you're not seeing turkey tracks, the turkeys are just not there. Most of the time, you're either gonna hear them, you're gonna see the tracks, and you're gonna see the sign. Now, if you're constantly seeing fresh signs and you're not hearing them, then you got some turkeys that are not real vocal. But in the case, overall, you hear people have a piece of property and they can't find turkey sign, they can't find turkeys. In most cases, the turkeys just ain't there. Either low population or they're over on your neighbors. Just keep looking, keep scouting, put out some cameras, and when they show up, get on them. That's all I can tell you. So hope this helps a little bit. Look right here, there's one thing I was gonna show you that I already got my mind. Notice right here, I didn't burn this, but look how this flows right out into an open food plot. This edge is gonna thicken up. Now, same thing can happen around the edge of a clear cut, hay pasture and different things like that. But this right here, I already know from experience is gonna be a good area for hens to nest. So when I start getting later in the season, this is gonna be a good spot. I can just tell you, you got those thicker briars and little old brush piles in there, sage grass, but it's not too choked out that the turkey can't walk. Old turkey might nest right out in the middle of the food plot if I let it grow. But if I mow it, that old turkey can nest in the thick stuff, protect itself from hopefully the bobcats, the nest predators, old red fox, maybe even a coyote, despite what a biologist say. I've seen it happen where they can harass them and even eat the egg. You would too if it was cold and you're hungry, you'd eat egg. They get up, biddies hatch, little poults come out in this food plot, bugs start going, grasshoppers start getting after it. They got enough stuff they can hide from hawks. That's the things you got me thinking about. And it's funny, here I am talking, look, prime time that you know there's a turkey. Little old turkey feather right there. Another thing too, something like this, there's a little pin feather. This time of year, man, these old turkeys, even the hens, they get mad. They starting to create a pecking order. So you might find a bunch of feathers around in some cases, and you'll think, well, something done jumped on one of my turkeys, which a bobcat might just do that. But a lot of times they throw in spurs early, trying to figure out who's gonna be the king gobbler. But right there, it already tells me old turkey's been coming out and there's just food plot, turkey feather. Might even end up finding no arrowhead out here. I don't know, I love it. I like being prepared. In a lot of cases, you can't be prepared. You just kind of going and trying to find them as you hunt them. But it's more exciting when you go hunting, knowing that you're gonna start off on them. In this case, if I was hunting in the morning, I would know where to start based on just what I've been doing today of showing y'all how I kind of look for these early season turkeys. Another thing I like about getting out in spring woods is, in this case, you deer hunt the same country, you know, and I don't like to walk around and tromp around, you know, during the fall, because I feel like it hurts more than it helps. But turkey season gives you an opportunity. You can walk around and look. And even though I've owned this place since 2015, every year I walk it and scout and look, I learn something new about it. And I just love it. I just love my time in the woods. It's not much more better time spent. Look at here. Here's some turkey dropping. Right there. Now a lot of times they'll say that a long turd, or if it's got a J or it's a long turd, most time it's more privy to be a gobbler. If it's just a round wad of crap, you know, a lot of times it's a hen. I do think that's the case because I paid attention to them, you know, scatting or pooping out there and go out there and pick it up, and it will be the case. So usually a long turd. So that's kind of somewhere in between. I can't guarantee what that is, but I just know it's turkey dropping, and it's kind of dry, so it's been out here for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. It ain't super fresh, but turkey's been here, probably out here nipping on this clover. I'm glad I come out here today, man. Found where they at. Well, I've had my call landing around my neck all day just because I know spring's close, and I wanted to real quick kind of show you my 2 calls that I'm gonna start off. Probably my 2 favorite calls for me that I like to use in our bone collector line. Maybe you're a great mouth caller. Maybe you want to finally master the mouth call. And a lot of times people ask me, you know, what are you looking for? Well, a lot depends. For me, I want a call that I'm comfortable with the main calls that I want to use. For me, soft calls, I want to be able to yelp really good, cut, cluck, preferably purr. Now, when you say all of that, so many times you can find a call that you can cut, maybe you can purr on, or maybe you find one that you can cut and yelp, but you can't purr and call soft. So to me, what I'm looking for is a call, in this case, this is a grandstander. I want a call that I can put my mouth, first get that high to low, to where it's somewhat clean on the front, gets raspy on the end. I can yelp, good solid yelp, good tone, good volume. But then I want a call that preferably I can call soft on. Those little soft yelps, those little soft clucks, those are finishing calls. I love that. I want a call that I can get down on, that I want to cut and locate a turkey. I might not call that loud when I'm working a turkey, but when I'm trying to locate that turkey, I'm wanting a shot gobble. Give me his position, then I can take the same call soft. Now people ask me, do you ever kiki run? What does a kiki run mean? What do I do when I'm trying to assembly up or things like that? Early in the season, when these turkeys, like in Georgia, even Florida, our seasons come in very early, you do have the opportunity to still be in a little bit of that, I call it that late winter vocalization. So sometimes I will assembly up or a kiki run. So a kiki, every yelp starts with that key note, which is a So when a turkey's lost, or even when a poult is born, their first note they do, they're keying, and it sounds like this. Now, if you listen to a bunch of calls, to Matt Van Sice, to Dave Owens, man, their key runs and assembly calls are amazing. Talk about assembly call, I will use sometimes what I call an adult hen assembly call to kind of gather the flock back up. And a lot of times it starts with a cluck or two and a long series of yips. It might sound like this. So when do you use those calls? I like to use them early season sometimes. Maybe it ain't happening and I'm calling to the other hens and I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to get the flock back together, trying to be a girl's girl. So there's so many different calls. The most intriguing thing about turkey calls is it's another language. So there's so much you can experiment with when you're practicing. There's so much you can experience with when you're out there hunting, and you get so many different results. Every turkey has its own personality. Some are subordinate, some are aggressive. The same can be said with the hens. So being able to understand the turkey language is so fun and is so cool. You really can't learn too much, and you can't do a deep dive to get too much out of a turkey call. So for me, start the season off with this grandstander and this Georgia peach. That gives me the best flexibility early season. So keep tuning in to this YouTube page. Hopefully we'll give you everything you need or you'd want to know. We're not saying we know it all. We just passionate and we love it. And we want to make a few turkeys right in the back of the truck. We're not trying to kill them all, but there's a few that we want in the deep fryer. There's a few. Be sure to grab you a few of these bone collector mouth calls and any of our turkey calls. They're made in the USA in the great state of Alabama, baby. Turkey season's close, man. About time to go turkey hunting. Time to bust out the mouth calls.